Commander Thex Elor sat in his command chair aboard the Valorian warship Times Eternal Glory *. His 6 eyes scanned the tactical displays with satisfaction. The Valorian Empire controlled this entire sector of space. For 300 cycles, no one had dared challenge their authority. Their weapons were the most advanced in the galaxy. Their ships moved faster than any other fleet. Their empire was perfect. Today's mission would be simple. Another primitive species needed to learn their place. "Commander, we are approaching the coordinates," his navigation officer reported. The officer's scales gleamed blue under the bridge lights, a sign of his calm confidence. "Excellent. What do we know about these humans?" Thexilor asked. His science officer brought up a holographic display. "They are a young species, Commander. They only achieved faster-than-light travel 2 of their generations ago. Our scouts found them at the edge of our territory." Thexilor studied the images. The humans looked weak. They had only 2 eyes, no scales or natural armor, soft skin that would tear easily. They came from a planet they called Earth. "What about their ships?" he asked. The science officer looked amused. "Primitive, Commander. Very primitive. They use chemical rockets for basic propulsion. Their faster-than-light drives are crude copies of old Valorian designs. The ships themselves are just metal boxes welded together." Several officers on the bridge laughed. Thexilor allowed himself a smile. "Metal boxes? How do they even survive in space?" "Poorly, we assume," the tactical officer added. "Our scans show their hulls are extremely thick, many meters of solid metal alloy. It seems they do not understand proper shield technology, so they just add more metal." More laughter filled the bridge. Thexilor shook his head. These humans sounded more like cave dwellers than space travelers. They probably beat their engines with hammers when something broke. "The Valorian Council has sent orders," his communications officer said. "These humans have refused to acknowledge our claim to this system. They say it belongs to them. The Council demands we teach them respect." Thexilor stood from his chair. His tall frame towered over the other officers. "How many ships do they have in this system?" 3 small vessels, Commander. Each one appears to be a diplomatic or science ship. Minimal weapons. No significant threat. And we have 12 warships in our battle group, Commander. The humans are outmatched 4-to-1 per vessel." Thexilor felt pride surge through him. This would be over quickly. The Valorian Empire had destroyed hundreds of primitive species who refused to submit. These humans would learn the same lesson: submit or die. "Take us in, standard attack formation. We will give them one chance to surrender." The fleet moved forward through space. Their ships were beautiful. Sleek hulls that curved like works of art. Energy shields that shimmered with rainbow colors. Weapons that hummed with barely contained plasma power. End quote. This was what advanced civilization looked like. On the view screen, Thexilor saw the 3 human ships. His science officer was right. They looked terrible. Gray metal boxes with engines attached. No elegant curves. No artistic design. Just blocky, ugly shapes that floated in space like debris. "Open communications," Thexilor ordered. A human face appeared on the screen. Male, with dark hair and dark eyes. He wore a simple uniform. The name patch said, "Captain Kim Ji-hoon. I am Commander Thex Elor of the Valorian Empire," he announced. "This system is now under Valorian authority. You will surrender your vessels immediately and prepare to be boarded. Your species will submit to the Empire or face destruction." The human looked at him calmly. Too calmly. "Commander Thexilor, I am Captain Ji-hoon Kim of the human Korean Navy ship Times Harmony *. We do not recognize your claim to this system. We have been here for 5 years. This is human territory." Thexilor's eyes widened. "The audacity! You dare refuse the Valorian Empire? Your ships are primitive toys. Our weapons will cut through your metal boxes like they are nothing." Ji-hoon tilted his head slightly. Commander, I urge you to reconsider. We do not want conflict, but we will not abandon our territory. Please, choose peace. Peace? Thex Elor laughed. Peace comes through strength. You have no strength. I will give you 10 of your minutes to surrender. After that, we will take your ships by force. The human captain looked sad. Actually, sad. As if Thexilor had disappointed him somehow. Commander, you are making a terrible mistake. We have given you a chance for peace. I hope you will remember that. The screen went dark. Thexilor turned to his officers. Did he just threaten us? The tactical officer checked his displays. Commander, the human ships are powering up their engines. It looks like they are preparing to fight. Foolish primitives, Thexilor muttered. Weapons, prepare to fire on my mark. Target their engines first. We will disable them, and then board their vessels. The Valorian Council will want to study their technology, primitive as it is. Commander, the science officer said, I am detecting a transmission from the human ships. It appears to be a distress call. To whom? Unknown. The signal is going deeper into human space. They are calling for help. Oh, known. Thexilor laughed again. Help? From whom? More metal boxes? He looked at his navigation officer. How long would it take for any human reinforcements to arrive? The officer calculated quickly. At least 6 hours, Commander. Probably longer. Human faster than light drives are very slow. 6 hours? Thex Elor settled back into his chair. This battle will be over in 6 minutes. All ships, advance. Prepare to fire. The Valorian fleet moved forward in perfect formation. Their weapons charged with deadly plasma energy. The 3 human ships just floated there, waiting. Thexilor almost felt sorry for them. They were so outmatched. So primitive. So foolish. Commander, his science officer said suddenly. His voice sounded strange. I am detecting something on long-range sensors. What is it? A ship. Coming from human space. It is. Very large. Thexilor waved his hand dismissively. Probably a cargo vessel. Or maybe a space station. Ignore it. Focus on these 3 ships. Yes, Commander. The Valorian ships closed the distance. They were almost in optimal firing range. The human vessels suddenly began moving in odd patterns. Erratic turns, sudden accelerations. They looked panicked. They are trying to run, the tactical officer said. Should we pursue? No. Thexilor decided. Let them run toward their reinforcement. We will destroy them all together. It will be more efficient. Thus, the 3 human ships retreated slowly. The Valorian fleet followed. Weapons locked on their targets. This was going exactly as planned. In a few minutes, these humans would learn what happened to species that defied the Valorian Empire. Then the 3 human ships stopped. They turned around to face the Valorian fleet. The human captain's face appeared on the screen again. Commander Thexilor, Ji-hoon said quietly. Our reinforcements have arrived. This is your last chance to withdraw. Please. For your crew's sake. Thexilor stared at the human in disbelief. Last chance? From this primitive? All weapons, fire at will. Destroy those metal boxes. The Valorian fleet opened fire. Plasma bolts screamed through space toward the human vessels. This was it. The primitives would finally learn their lesson. But as the weapons flew toward their targets, Thex Elor's science officer gasped. Commander, that ship on sensors. It is not a cargo vessel. What? It is dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Right here. Right now. Thex Elor looked at the view screen. Space itself seemed to tear open. Something massive was emerging. Something that made his 12 warships look like tiny insects. By the ancient stars, someone whispered. What is that? The plasma bolts from the Valorian fleet struck the 3 human ships. Their shields flared bright blue, absorbing the impacts. Thexilor expected the shields to collapse immediately. They did not. The human vessels rocked from the hits, but they stayed intact. Shields still holding on all three targets, the tactical officer reported, surprise clear in his voice. Impossible. Thexilor muttered. Those are primitive ships. Fire again, but no one was paying attention to the small human vessels anymore. Every eye on the bridge stared at the view screen. The massive shape that had emerged from faster-than-light travel now dominated the entire display. It was a ship, a warship, but it was like no warship Thexilor had ever seen. The vessel was enormous. His science officer was frantically calculating its size. Commander, that ship is over 3 kilometers long. It masses more than our entire battle group combined. 3 kilometers. Thexilor felt his confidence waver. The Valorian Empire's largest dreadnought was barely 1 kilometer long. This human ship was 3 times that size. But size was not the most disturbing thing. The ship's design was wrong. All wrong. Valorian vessels were smooth and curved, designed to channel energy shields efficiently. This human ship was angular and blocky. Its hull was dark gray, almost black. Thick armor plates covered every surface. No curves. No elegance. It looked like someone had taken a mountain and made it fly. What are those? An officer asked, pointing at the screen. The human battleship bristled with weapons. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Gun turrets covered the hull in every direction. Large ones, small ones. Missile tubes, strange barrel-shaped devices. Every centimeter of the ship seemed designed to kill. This cannot be real, Thexilor said. How does it even move? That much mass should be impossible to propel efficiently. His science officer was studying the scans. Commander, I do not understand their technology. The ship uses some kind of fusion reactor system. Multiple reactors. The power output is extreme. And the armor? Commander, it is solid metal alloy. Layers and layers of it. Some sections are over 10 meters thick. 10 meters of armor? The tactical officer sounded shocked. That is insane. Our plasma weapons can burn through most materials. Why would they need so much armor? Never one. A new communication channel opened. A woman's face appeared on the screen. She looked older than Captain Kim, with sharp eyes and graying hair. Her uniform had more decorations. Her name patch read, Admiral Choi Hae-jin. Commander Thexilor, she said. Her voice was cold and professional. I am Admiral Hae-jin Choi of the human Korean Navy ship Times. Indomitable asterisk. You fired on our diplomatic vessels. That was unwise. Thexilor tried to recover his authority. Your ships refused to leave Valorian territory. We had every right to defend our space. This is not your space, Hae-jin replied. But that is not important right now. What is important is that you stop this attack immediately. You cannot win this fight. Cannot win. Thexilor felt anger replace his fear. He commanded 12 warships. 12! Your ship is large, but it is still just one ship. We outnumber you. Our weapons are advanced. Plasma technology perfected over centuries. Your ship is just thick metal. Hae-jin looked at him with something like pity. Commander, humanity comes from a planet called Earth. It is what the galaxy classifies as a death world. Heavy gravity, violent weather, dangerous animals. Everything on our planet evolved to survive in extreme conditions. What does that have to do with your ship? Everything, she said simply. Human engineering does not prioritize elegance or efficiency. We prioritize survival. Our ships are built to take damage and keep fighting. We build them to survive in conditions that would destroy your vessels. We do not build warships, Commander. We build fortresses that can move through space. Thexilor studied the Times' indomitable times again. A fortress. Yes, that was exactly what it looked like. But fortresses did not move. They did not fight. They just sat and defended. Size is not everything, he said. Firepower matters. Speed matters. My fleet can outmaneuver you. We can strike from multiple angles. Your fortress will be too slow to stop us. Heijin nodded slowly. You believe that? I can see it. Very well. I will give you one chance to withdraw. Take your ships and leave. No one else needs to die today. Die? Thexilor stood from his chair. You threaten us? You dare threaten the Valorian Empire? He turned to his weapons officer. All ships, focus fire on that battleship. Concentrate everything on one section of their armor. We will burn through it. Commander, are you certain? His science officer asked quietly. I am certain that I will not run from primitives. Fire. The 12 Valorian warships unleashed their full weapons complement. Plasma cannons blazed. Energy beams lanced through space. Missiles streaked toward the Times. Indomitable asterisk. The combined firepower of the entire battle group focused on the human battleship's forward section. The weapons struck home. Plasma burned against the armor. Missiles exploded on impact. Energy beams carved glowing lines across the hull. For a moment, Thexilor felt hope. The armor was glowing white-hot where the weapons hit. Surely nothing could survive that much punishment. But the Times, indomitable Times, did not slow down. It did not turn away. It just kept moving forward through the weapons fire like it was nothing. Like they were throwing pebbles at a mountain. Damage report, Thexilor demanded. His tactical officer stared at his screens. Commander, the armor is scorched. Surface damage only. The hull integrity is at 98%. What? That is impossible. The armor is too thick, Commander. It is absorbing the heat faster than we can damage it. We would need to fire continuously for hours to burn through. Heijin's face appeared on the screen again. She did not look angry. She looked tired. You had your chance, Commander. The Times, indomitable Times, opened fire. The sound was different from Valorian weapons. Valorian plasma cannons hummed and crackled. The human weapons made a deep, thunderous boom that somehow transmitted through space itself. The ship's main guns fired. Thexilor saw something launch from the battleship. Not energy. Not plasma. Solid objects. Huge pieces of metal moving impossibly fast. Kinetic weapons? His science officer gasped. They are using kinetic projectiles? The first projectile hit the Valorian warship Times Swift Victory asterisk. The vessel simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there. The next moment, it was an expanding cloud of debris. The kinetic round had hit with such force that it tore the ship into pieces. 2 more booms, 2 more rounds. The warships, Times Glorious Purpose Times, and Times Star Cleaver Times, vanished the same way. Evasive action, Thexilor screamed. All ships, scatter. His fleet broke formation. Ships dove in every direction, trying to escape the killing field. But the Times, indomitable Times, had more than just main guns. Hundreds of smaller turrets tracked the fleeing vessels. They fired continuously. Railguns. The science officer identified them. Solid metal projectiles accelerated to incredible speeds. The smaller rounds were not as devastating as the main guns, but they were fast. So fast that shields barely slowed them. A barrage struck the Times' Eternal Might asterisk, punching through its shields and tearing holes in its hull. Commander, the Times' Eternal Might Times is venting atmosphere, communications reported. Thexilor watched in horror as his fleet fell apart. The Times' Righteous Fire Times took a direct hit from a main gun. It exploded. The Times' Valor's Edge Times tried to run, but got cut apart by railgun fire. In less than 2 minutes, he had lost 6 ships, half his fleet, gone. Why are they so effective? Someone whispered. the science officer answered, his voice shaking. Kinetic weapons. They do not lose power over distance, like plasma does. They just hit with pure mass and velocity, and the humans are firing them at speeds close to light speed. Nothing can stop that much kinetic energy. Small craft began launching from the time's indomitable asterisk, human fighters. They were compact and heavily armed. They moved in coordinated groups, working together like predators hunting prey. Fighters incoming, the tactical officer warned. Thexilor watched the fighters swarm toward his remaining ships. The Valorian vessels were faster, but the human fighters did not try to outrun them. They worked as a team. One group would bait a Valorian ship into turning, and another group would strike from behind. Their weapons might be smaller, but they were accurate. And there were so many of them. The fighter wing commander's face appeared briefly on the communications channel. A young human male named Commander Han Tae-yang. He was smiling, actually smiling as he fought. Like this was enjoyable to him. Blue Squadron, cover the Times Indomitable's Times port side, he ordered his pilots. Red Squadron, push them toward the main guns. Gold Squadron, with me. We take the flagship. His pilots responded with precise coordination. Thexilor realized these were not random attacks. The humans were hurting his ships, driving them into positions where the battleship could finish them easily. Another boom. The Times Stellar Hammer Times disappeared. 5 ships left. Out of 12. This was not a battle. It was a massacre. Sub-Commander Vale Ox commanded the warship Times Silent Blade Asterisk. She watched the battle from her own bridge, her mind racing. This was wrong. Everything about this was wrong. The Valorian Empire had conquered hundreds of worlds. They had perfected the art of space combat. Their tactics were flawless. Their technology was superior. They always won, but they were losing. Badly. Commander Vale Ox, her tactical officer said, the flagship is ordering us to regroup at coordinates 7-7 Alpha. Acknowledged, she replied automatically, but her eyes never left the Times. Indomitable asterisk. That ship, that terrible, beautiful ship, it was not supposed to be possible. Mass that large should not be able to move quickly. Weapons that primitive should not be that effective. But the humans had done it anyway. They had built something that ignored all the rules. Her science officer leaned closer. Commander, I have been analyzing their tactics. The humans are not fighting like we do. What do you mean? Valorian combat doctrine emphasizes precision strikes, disable the enemy's weapons, destroy their engines. We target specific systems to maximize efficiency. He gestured to the screen, showing the Times. Indomitable asterisk. The humans do not do that. Every weapon they have is designed for one purpose: maximum damage. Complete destruction. They are not trying to disable our ships. They are trying to obliterate them. Vale Ox felt a chill run through her. He was right. The human fighters did not target engines or weapons. They targeted hulls, life support, command centers. The battleship's main guns did not aim for specific systems. They just punched through ships from one side to the other. They fight like predators, she whispered. Commander? Predators? She repeated louder. We have been treating them like primitives, like prey. But they are not prey. They are predators. And we walked into their territory. Duan. On her view screen, the Times, Indomitable Times, turned slightly. The movement was slow, but deliberate. Every gun turret on its port side aimed at the Valorian formation. Vale Ox saw what was about to happen. All power to engines, she shouted. Get us out of the line of fire. The Times Silent Blade Times accelerated hard. Behind her, 2 other Valorian ships were not fast enough. The battleship's broadside fired. Rails guns, plasma cutters, and missile batteries all fired at once. The two ships disappeared in a storm of metal and fire. 3 ships left now. Just 3, including her own. Commander Vale Ox, her communications officer, said urgently, "The flagship is hailing us." Commander Thexilor's face appeared on her screen. He looked terrible. His scales had turned pale gray, a sign of extreme stress. His eyes were wide with fear. "Vale Ox," he said, his voice shaking. "We need to retreat. Now. Finally." "I agree, Commander. We should signal our surrender, and—" "No," Texilor interrupted. "No surrender. We will retreat back to Valorian space and report this to the Council. They need to know about this threat. Commander, our ships are damaged. Our crews are terrified. If we try to run, the humans will." An explosion lit up space. Another Valorian ship, the Times Dawn's Pride *, took a railgun barrage to its reactor. The ship tore itself apart from the inside. 2 ships left. "We have to try," Thexilor screamed. "All remaining vessels, full retreat, maximum speed." Vale Ox hesitated. Every instinct told her this was wrong. They should surrender. They should beg for mercy. But Thexilor was her superior officer. She had to follow orders. "Helm, set course for Valorian space. Maximum speed," she ordered quietly. The Times Silent Blade Times and the flagship Times Eternal Glory Times turned to run. Their engines burned bright as they accelerated. The human fighters pursued but fell behind. Valorian ships were faster. That was one advantage they still had. For a moment, Vale Ox felt hope. They might actually escape. The Times, Indomitable Times, was too slow to catch them. They could jump to faster than light speeds once they got far enough away from the battle. Then Admiral Choi's voice came over the open channel. "Commander Thexilor, if you run now, I will let you go. You and your ships can leave. But if any vessel fires again, if anyone tries to continue this fight, I will destroy you all. Do you understand?" Thexilor did not respond. He cut the channel. "Commander," Vale Ox's weapons officer reported, "the flagship is charging weapons. They are preparing to fire on the human battleship." "What? Why?" Her science officer looked grim. "Pride. Commander Thexilor cannot return home defeated by primitives. He would rather die fighting than live with shame." Vale Ox stared at her screen. She watched the flagship's weapons glow with building energy. Thexilor was going to attack. He was going to throw his life away. And probably hers, too. For pride. She made a decision. "Communications? Open a channel to the flagship. Priority override." "Channel open, Commander." "Commander Thexilor, this is Vale Ox. Do not fire those weapons. We have lost. Accept it." "I do not accept defeat from primitives." Thexilor's voice came back. "The Valorian Empire does not run from anyone. The Valorian Empire will not exist if we are all dead." Vale Ox shot back. "Look at that ship, Thexilor. Really look at it. We cannot win. This is not about pride anymore. This is about survival. You are a coward. I am a realist. And I am taking my ship home to warn our people. You can join me, or you can die here. Choose." She cut the channel. Then she ordered her helmsman to break formation and angle away from the flagship. If Thexilor wanted to die, he could do it alone. The flagship Times Eternal Glory Times continued toward the Times Indomitable *, its weapons glowing brighter. Vale Ox watched, feeling sick. She had served with Thexilor for 20 cycles. He was a good officer. A proud officer. But pride was about to kill him. The Times. Indomitable Times did not wait. Its main guns tracked the incoming flagship. 3 thunderous booms echoed across space. 3 massive kinetic rounds launched. The first round hit the Times Eternal Glory Times head-on. It punched through the forward shields like they were not even there. The round tore through the entire length of the ship, destroying everything in its path. The second round hit the reactor core. The explosion was blinding. The third round hit the debris field, scattering the remains into smaller pieces. Commander Thexilor was gone. His ship was gone. Everything was gone. Velox sat in her command chair, staring at the empty space where the flagship had been. Her crew was silent. No one spoke. No one moved. They all understood what had just happened. The Valorian Empire had just learned a terrible lesson. Admiral Choi's face appeared on Velox's screen. The human admiral looked tired, but not cruel. Not victorious. Just tired. "Sub-Commander Velox," she said. "You made a wise choice. Take your ship and go home. Tell your leaders what happened here. Tell them humanity wants peace, but we will defend ourselves. Tell them we are not primitive. We are not weak. And we are not prey." Velox straightened in her chair. She had lost everything today. Her fleet, her commander, her pride, but she still had her life, and she still had her duty. "I will tell them, Admiral Choi. I will tell them everything." "Good. Now go. Before I change my mind." The Time's silent blade times turned and jumped to faster-than-light speed. Behind her, the human battleship remained in place, its weapons still active, its shields still strong, barely damaged, barely touched. Inside the Time's silent blade asterisk, Velox began recording her report. She described the battle in detail, the size of the human ship, the power of their weapons, the effectiveness of their tactics, but most importantly, she described what she had learned. "The humans are not primitives," she recorded. "They are survivors. They come from a death world, and they bring death with them. Their technology looks crude because they do not care about appearance. They care about results. Their ships look ugly because they are designed to take damage and keep fighting. Their weapons look simple because they do not need to be complex. They just need to kill." She paused, choosing her next words carefully. "We judged them by our standards. We saw their metal hulls and chemical rockets and assumed they were inferior. We were wrong. They build differently because they think differently. They are not trying to be elegant. They are trying to survive. And that makes them more dangerous than any enemy we have faced." Velox stopped the recording. She would send it to the Valorian Council as soon as she reached friendly space. They needed to know. They needed to understand. The Valorian Empire had encountered something new in the galaxy. Not primitives, not prey, but equals, maybe even superiors, and that changed everything. Captain Ji-hoon Kim stood on the bridge of the Times Harmony asterisk, watching the debris field float past his view screen. The battle was over. The Valorian fleet was destroyed or retreating. But he felt no joy, only sadness. "Captain," his tactical officer, Lieutenant Seo-yun Park, said quietly, "we are receiving damage reports from the other diplomatic vessels. Minor hull damage. No casualties. Our shields held." "Good," Ji-hoon replied. "What about the Time's indomitable asterisk?" "Admiral Choi reports minimal damage. Some armor scoring. Nothing that will affect combat effectiveness." Ji-hoon nodded. That was the miracle of human engineering. The Times, indomitable Times, had taken sustained fire from 12 advanced warships and barely noticed it. Their armor was designed to withstand the worst conditions imaginable. Plasma fire was actually less dangerous than some natural hazards on Earth. "Captain," Seo-yun continued, "we are detecting life pods. Survivors from the Valorian ships. How many? Approximately 200 individuals. Their life support will last about 10 hours. Ji-hoon did not hesitate. "Contact the Times, indomitable asterisk. Begin rescue operations immediately. I want every survivor brought aboard and given medical attention." "Yes, Captain." On the main view screen, the massive form of the Times, indomitable Times, moved slowly through the debris field. Its bright lights illuminated the darkness, searching for survivors. Small rescue craft launched from the battleship's hangar bays, Corporal Minjun Lee, the chief engineer, stepped up beside Ji-hoon. Captain, permission to speak freely? Always, Minjun. Do you think they understand now? The Valorians? Ji-hoon looked at the young engineer. Minjun had been with him for 3 years. Good officer. Smart. But still learning about the galaxy. Understand what? That we are not primitives. That we are strong. Some will understand, Ji-hoon said thoughtfully. Others will not. Pride is a powerful thing. It makes people blind. Like their commander. What was his name? Thexilor. Yes. He could not accept that his technology was not superior. That his tactics were not perfect. So he attacked, and it cost him everything. Minjun shook his head. We gave him so many chances to stop. We did. But some people will not listen until it is too late. Ji-hoon gestured to the screen, showing the rescue operations. That is why we save the survivors, to show them we are not monsters. We are just people who defend themselves when necessary. Hours passed. The human rescue teams worked efficiently. They pulled Valorian survivors from damaged life pods. They treated the wounded. They gave them food and water. Some of the Valorian survivors were hostile at first. They expected torture or execution. They were shocked when human medics treated them with respect and care. One Valorian officer, a young male named Crixon, stared at the human medic treating his injuries. Why are you helping me? We tried to kill you. The medic, a woman named Lieutenant Yoonji Cho, smiled gently. Because you need help. That is what we do. We help people who need help. But we are enemies. You attacked us. We defended ourselves. The fighting is over now. You are not our enemy anymore. You are just someone who needs medical care. Crixon looked confused. This is not how war works. The victors do not help the defeated. They enslave them or kill them. Yoonji shook her head. Maybe that is how your people do war. But humans do it differently. We fight when we must. But we do not hate our enemies. We just want them to stop attacking us. I do not understand. You will, she said, finishing the bandage on his arm. You have time to learn. On the bridge of the Times Indomitable Asterisk, Admiral Haejin Choi reviewed the battle reports. Commander Han Tae-yang stood beside her. The fighter commander's uniform was still damp with sweat from the battle, but he was smiling. Good work today, Tae-yang, Haejin said. Thank you, Admiral. The pilots performed excellently. No losses on our side. And the Valorians? Completely outmatched. Their fighters were faster, but they did not work as a team. We used pack tactics, herded them into kill zones. Basic predator strategy. Haejin nodded. Tae-yang was young, but skilled. He understood something important about human tactics. Humans had learned to hunt on Earth. They had learned to work together to bring down prey much larger than themselves. Those same instincts worked in space combat. Admiral, her science officer reported, we have retrieved the last of the survivors. Total count is 217 Valorian crew members. All are aboard and receiving treatment. Any complications? Some of them tried to resist at first. They thought we were going to harm them. Once they realized we were actually helping, they became cooperative. Good. Haejin looked at the tactical display. The battle zone was quiet now. Just debris and empty space. Prepare the ship for departure. We will escort the diplomatic vessels back to the nearest human station. What about the Valorian survivors? We will contact Valorian authorities. Arrange an exchange. They can have their people back. Haejin turned to look at her crew. They looked tired, but proud. They had done their duty. Make sure the Valorian officers understand something before they leave. Yes, Admiral? Tell them we did not want this fight. Tell them we gave their commander many chances to avoid bloodshed. Tell them humanity prefers peace. But if they attack us again, the outcome will be the same. The officer saluted. I will tell them, Admiral. 3 days later, Velox arrived at the Valorian home world. Her ship limped into orbit, barely functional. She had pushed the engines beyond safe limits to get home quickly. The news she carried was too important to delay. The Valorian Council assembled to hear her report. 12 council members sat in a circular chamber. Vale Ox stood in the center, feeling small and insignificant. Sub-Commander Vilox, the head counselor began. We received your preliminary report. Commander Thex Elor's fleet was destroyed by a primitive species called humans. Is this correct? It is correct, honored counselor. But they are not primitive. Explain. Velox took a deep breath. Then she told them everything. She described the times, indomitable times in detail. Its massive size, its thick armor, its devastating weapons. She explained how the human battleship had absorbed their most powerful attacks and barely noticed. She showed them recordings of the battle. The council members watched in silence as Valorian ships were torn apart by kinetic rounds. When she finished, the chamber was quiet. One counselor finally spoke. This ship, this time's indomitable asterisk. How is it possible? Velox had been thinking about that question for 3 days. Honored counselor, the humans come from what they call a death world. High gravity, dangerous conditions. Their entire civilization evolved to survive in extreme environments. What does that have to do with their ships? Everything. We design our ships for efficiency and speed. We use shields to protect us. The humans design their ships for survival. They use thick armor because they expect to take damage. They use kinetic weapons because those weapons are simple and reliable. Another counselor leaned forward. How many of these battleships do they have? I do not know, honored counselor. We only encountered one. But if they have more... Velox did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. This is troubling, the head counselor said. The Valorian Empire has never encountered a species with this level of military capability. We must decide how to respond. There is something else, honored counselor, Velox added. After the battle, the humans rescued our survivors. They treated our wounded. They gave them food and medical care. Then they contacted us to arrange an exchange. They want to return our people. 2. Why would they do that? I asked one of the survivors that question. He said the humans told him they do not hate us. They just wanted us to stop attacking them. The council members looked at each other. This was unprecedented. Every species the Valorian Empire had conquered or fought had been hostile. They had hated the Empire. They had wanted revenge, but the humans were different. They had won the battle decisively. They could have executed the survivors or enslaved them. Instead, they had shown mercy. What kind of species are these humans? A counselor whispered. Velox straightened. She had thought about that question for 3 days as well. They are survivors. Honored counselors. They are warriors who prefer peace, but excel at war. They are builders who create things that last. And they are more dangerous than any species we have encountered. Because they do not fight for conquest or glory. They fight to protect what is theirs. And that makes them relentless. The head counselor nodded slowly. The Empire must adjust its approach. We will open diplomatic channels with these humans. We will offer a non-aggression pact. We will recognize their territory. And we will never underestimate them again. Wise decision, honored counselor. Sub-Commander Velox, you showed courage and wisdom in this crisis. You will be promoted to full commander, and you will serve as our liaison to the human government. Sub-Commander Velox, and you will serve as our liaison to the human government. Velox bowed. I am honored. As she left the council chamber, she felt the weight of history pressing down on her. The Valorian Empire had just learned a lesson that would change the galaxy. Humanity was not prey. They were predators, and the galaxy would never be the same. 6 weeks after the battle, Captain Ji-hoon Kim stood in the diplomatic hall on Unity Station. The massive space station orbited a neutral world, far from both human and Valorian territory. Today was important. Today, humanity and the Valorian Empire would sign a peace treaty. Ji-hoon wore his formal uniform, dark blue with silver buttons and his medals from years of service. He did not particularly like formal events, but this one mattered. This treaty would prevent future wars. It would save lives on both sides. Commander Vale Ox entered the hall from the opposite door. She wore her own formal uniform, covered in scales that shimmered in the light. Their eyes met across the room. They nodded to each other with respect. "Captain Kim," she said in carefully practiced human language. "It is good to see you again." "Commander Vale Ox, welcome. Your language skills have improved. I have been studying. If I am to be the liaison between our peoples, I must learn to communicate properly." She looked around the hall. "Is Admiral Choi attending?" "No. She is commanding fleet exercises near the border, but she sends her regards." I Sev. "No. She is a formidable woman. I hope to meet her again under better circumstances." Ji-hoon smiled. "She said the same thing about you. She respects the courage you showed during the battle." The treaty signing proceeded smoothly. Representatives from both governments signed the documents. Humanity's borders were recognized. The Valorian Empire agreed to a non-aggression pact. Trade agreements were established. Neither side admitted fault for the battle, but both agreed to move forward in peace. After the ceremony, Ji-hoon and Vale Ox spoke privately. "Commander, may I ask you a question?" Ji-hoon said. "Of course. What does your government think of humans now?" "Truly?" Vale Ox considered her answer carefully. "They are afraid of you. But they also respect you. The Valorian Empire has never encountered a species like humanity. You are strong, but you do not conquer. You build weapons of terrible power, but you use them only in defense. You defeated us decisively, but then you saved our survivors." She paused. "You confuse us, Captain Kim." "We confuse ourselves sometimes," Ji-hoon admitted. "But here is something you should know. Humans do not want to rule the galaxy. We do not want to build empires. We just want to live in peace and explore the stars. But we will never allow anyone to dominate us. Never. I understand that now. I wish Commander Thexilor had understood it before attacking." "So do I. His death was unnecessary. All those deaths were unnecessary." Vale Ox nodded sadly. "He was a proud officer. Pride killed him. Pride kills many people, on many worlds." Ji-hoon looked out the window at the stars. "But wisdom can save even more. You were wise that day, Commander. You chose life over pride. Your people are fortunate to have you." Word of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Within months, dozens of species had heard about the humans and their battleship. The story grew, with each retelling. Some versions claimed the Time's indomitable Times had destroyed 50 ships. Others said it could destroy a planet. The truth was impressive enough. But legends always exceeded reality. On the Time's indomitable asterisk, Admiral Hae-jin Choi reviewed requests from foreign governments. 23 species wanted to establish diplomatic relations with humanity. 15 wanted trade agreements. 8 wanted military alliances. Commander Tae-young entered her office. "Admiral, the fighter wings have completed their training exercises. We are at full readiness." "Good. How are the new pilots?" "Excellent. They learn quickly. I think it is because humans have good instincts for spatial combat. We evolved to track prey and avoid predators. Those same skills work well in three-dimensional space battles." Hae-jin nodded. She had thought the same thing many times. Humans had advantages that other species lacked, not because they were superior, but because they had evolved differently. Earth had made them tough, it had made them adaptable, and it had made them survivors. "Tae-young, do you think we will fight again?" she asked. The commander sat down. Honestly? Yes. The galaxy is a big place. There will always be someone who underestimates us. Someone who thinks our thick armor means we are slow. Someone who thinks our simple weapons mean we are primitive. And when that happens, we will do what we always do. We will give them chances to choose peace. We will try to avoid bloodshed. But if they force us to fight, we will win. Taeyang smiled grimly. Because that is what Deathworlders do, Admiral. We survive, and we protect what is ours. In the engineering bay, Corporal Min-Jun Lee worked on repairing the armor scoring from the battle. The damage was superficial, but he wanted the ship in perfect condition. As he worked, a young ensign approached him. Her name was Su-Bin Kang, fresh from the academy. Corporal Lee, she said nervously. May I ask you something? Sure. Do you think humans will always have to fight? Will there ever be peace in the galaxy? Min-Jun set down his tools. He had been thinking about that question a lot lately. Honestly, I do not know. The galaxy is full of different species with different values. Some believe in conquest. Some believe in dominance. They see peaceful species as weak. But we are not weak. No, we are not. And that is the problem. We are peaceful until someone attacks us. Then we become something else. Something dangerous. He gestured to the thick armor around them. This ship represents what humanity is. We build strong. We plan for the worst. We hope for the best. But we are always ready. Does that make us bullies? No, Min-Jun said firmly. Bullies attack the weak. We defend ourselves and others. There is a big difference. Su-Bin looked at the repair work. I hope we do not have to fight again. So do I. In sign. So do I. On Earth, in the capital city of Seoul, the human government held a meeting. Representatives from every major nation attended. They discussed the Valorian incident and what it meant for humanity's future. The galaxy knows about us now, the Prime Minister said. We can no longer remain isolated. We must engage with other species, build alliances, establish our place among the stars. But we must do it carefully, the Defense Minister added. The times, indomitable times, showed the galaxy our military strength. That will make some species afraid of us. Others will want to ally with us for protection. We must navigate these relationships wisely. We should focus on peaceful trade and exploration, the Science Minister suggested. Show the galaxy that we are more than just warriors. We are more than warriors, the Prime Minister agreed. But we are also warriors when necessary. The galaxy needs to understand both sides of humanity. Our compassion and our strength. Our desire for peace and our capability for war. The meeting continued for hours. Plans were made. Policies were established. Humanity prepared to take its place as a recognized power in the galaxy. Back on the Times, indomitable asterisk, Admiral He-Jin Choi stood on the observation deck. She looked out at the stars, thinking about everything that had happened. The battle, the deaths, the treaty, the future. Commander Taeyang joined her. They stood in silence for a while, just watching the stars. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we had never left Earth? Taeyang asked. Sometimes, He-Jin admitted. Life would have been simpler, safer, but less interesting, much less interesting. She smiled. We are explorers, Taeyang. It is in our nature. We see a horizon, and we want to know what is beyond it. We see stars, and we want to visit them. We meet new species, and we want to learn from them, even when they try to kill us, especially then. Because that is when we learn the most. About them, and about ourselves. Taeyang nodded. I read the reports from the Valorian survivors. Many of them said they could not understand why we helped them. They expected torture or death. When we gave them medical care and respect, it changed how they saw us. Good. That is important. We must be strong enough that no one attacks us. But we must also be kind enough that no one fears to make peace with us. He-Jin turned to look at him. We are setting an example, Taeyang. for all of humanity. How we act now will determine how the galaxy sees us for generations. No pressure then, he joked. She laughed. No pressure at all. 6 months later, the HKNS Times Indomitable Times received new orders. They were to patrol the border between human and Valorian space. Not as a threat, but as a reassurance. A reminder to both sides that peace was maintained through mutual respect and strength. Captain Ji-hoon Kim's ship Times Harmony Times joined them. The diplomatic vessel and the battleship traveled together, symbolizing humanity's dual nature. Warrior and peacemaker, protector and friend. On the observation deck, Ensign Subin Kang stood with several other young crew members. They looked out at the stars together. "Do you think we will see action again?" one of them asked. "Maybe," another replied. "But I hope not." Subin thought about Corporal Lee's words. About being ready. About being strong. About protecting what matters. If we do face combat again, we will be ready. That is what this ship is. A promise. A promise that humanity will never be conquered. That we will never submit to bullies. That we will always stand up for ourselves and for others who cannot stand up for themselves. That sounds like a lot of responsibility. It is. Subin agreed. But someone has to do it. And I am glad it is us. The Times Indomitable Times continued its patrol. Its thick armor gleamed in the starlight. Its weapons stayed silent but ready. Its crew remained vigilant but hopeful. Across the galaxy, species watched and learned. They learned that humanity was not primitive. They learned that simple technology could be devastatingly effective. They learned that Deathworlders brought their survival instincts to the stars. But most importantly, they learned that humanity preferred peace but excelled at war. That combination made humanity unique. It made them respected. It made them feared. And it made them trusted. Because the galaxy needed protectors. It needed species who would stand against aggression without becoming aggressors themselves. It needed warriors who fought only when necessary and showed mercy to the defeated. The galaxy needed humanity, and humanity was ready. The Times, Indomitable Times, sailed on through the darkness of space, a fortress among the stars. Inside, men and women from Earth worked and lived and prepared. They hoped for peace. They trained for war. They represented the best of what humanity could be. Strong, compassionate, ready. The stars stretched out endlessly before them. Somewhere out there were friends to make, wonders to discover, challenges to overcome, and if necessary, enemies to defeat. But whatever came, humanity would face it together, with courage, with wisdom, with the determination that came from evolving on a world that tried to kill them every day. They were Deathworlders. They were survivors. They were humanity, and their journey among the stars had only just begun.